Is it negligent to go to a doctor that's not using AI to help diagnose problems?
If you got a doctor who has perfected utilizing AI as a tool, you're going to get a better outcome on your treatment.
What's the most exciting technological advancement in the health and wellness space for you right now?
Me personally, man, I am all about
What role is AI going to play in solving problems like cancer?
AI is a monster.
It just seems like the process is taking way too long to get valid results right now.
We live in a world where it's like we want everything now.
How close do you think we are to lab-grown organs?
They're already doing it, man.
All right, boys and girls, we've got Sam Tejada in the house. He's the founder of Liquavida, a franchise with 40 locations and a valuation of, based on our estimates, about 30 million, give or take. Dollar here, penny there. Sam, what's up?
How you doing, Mark?
Sam, really excited to talk to you here today. I am excellent. I'm feeling good. My health and wellness is on point, and I think that's probably because of a little bit of technology that's happening. I'm kind of curious on your side, what's the most exciting technological advancement in the health and wellness space for you right now?
Well, you know, what I'll talk about is what I'm very passionate about when it comes to like the health and wellness space. You know, like there's tons of stuff that you could do for like metabolic health and for weight loss and all of these other different things. Me personally, man, I am all about brain health, cognitive health to be exact, where it's like I want to be sharp as a tack every single day. I want to be in high definition. I want to hear better, see better, and speak better. So I put a lot of focus into cognitive health. I take certain supplements where there's technologies out there that have been developed into these natural pharmaceuticals that will have you firing off as where you are truly sharp as a tack.
Interesting. I can think of some politicians that might benefit from that. What give me like your number one takeaway. If I want to have a sharp brain, if I want to be sharp, if my memory is on point, what's the number one thing I should do?
So I use this nasal spray, man. It's called Synapsence nasal spray. And this Synapsence nasal spray was actually put together by this pharmacist out of Texas, where he has the patent behind it. And it has a few natural ingredients in it. One is RG3. RG3 is the pharmaceutical grade of ginseng. All right. Then it has NR. NR is the precursor to NAD, which allows NAD. And people are talking about NAD plus all the time about how it helps with, you know, brain health, mental focus, clarity, etc. So NR allows that NAD to do what it needs in the brain. And then number 3, it has the methylated version of B12. So I do this natural nasal spray every single morning, and I feel it instantly where everything is in high definition. I hear better, speak better, and see better. You know, it's just, I'm telling you right now, some of our top CEOs that are clients, which I can't mention names, they do it, and it allows them to perform at just a greater level.
How long does it last for?
It lasts for the day. So you do it every single day. It's something that you can run as long as you want. Remember, it's all natural. So it's like taking a vitamin. You're just spraying it in your nostrils. And that's because you have the mucous membranes there that causes quick absorption through the capillary, through the capillary blood cells that are there, and it goes directly into your system.
I mean, so sounds great, but in my history, where I come from, the world I live in, it seems like these quick solutions end up not paying out long term. You know what I mean? Like you're sacrificing something long term for that quick win. Don't you? I mean, are there any worries about taking nasal sprays once a day, every day for the rest of your life, and it leads to like your arm falling off in the long term? Like, are there any worries about this stuff?
So there should always be worries, right? And that's why when you're dealing with something that's medical, you want to see what the clinical scientific research on that product is, right? If there's not much science behind it, I tell people to kind of steer away until the science actually develops. When you have the science that will show if there's any contraindications, side effects, then you know you got a good product and you're good to go. So in my professional opinion, in the medical field, you got nothing to worry about with this nasal spray.
Okay, that's fair. What role do you think AI is going to play on reviewing these mass amounts of data? What role is AI going to play in solving problems like cancer and aging?
AI is a monster. I mean, this thing, we're actually actively utilizing AI now, right? So I'll give you an example. So we do a test, it's called an IGL test, where basically it shows us, it tests over 900 different toxins, right? Toxins that are in food, toxins that are in the environment. But what it does, it actually shows that toxin, which is classified as a DNA adduct, what gene in your body it's stuck to, right? Which then potentially might cause a gene expression change in your body where disease develops. So I'll give you an example of that. So we all have tumor suppressing genes. If you have a toxin that gets, connected to that tumor suppression gene and turns the expression off, well, what ends up happening is that if you have a tumor that starts to develop, you don't have that tumor suppressing gene that's on. So the tumor starts to grow, becomes cancerous, and you could potentially die, right? So when we have that toxin, that DNA adduct connected to a gene, and we get the test back and you get this crazy gene code that, listen, there's no doctor out there that's going to be able to know what this gene is because you have tons of genes in your body. And you get this crazy code, P56 point something. The old school style is you're going to have to go to the literature and just start reading tons of literature. Just imagine reading like 50 encyclopedias, the thick ones, right? It's going to take you forever to figure it out. Now with AI, you put that gene code right into AI, everything just pops up. So now we're moving quick to figure out exactly what that toxin is causing and what that gene is responsible for. And every single time that we've done this, we've nailed down exactly what is causing that person's disease. Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, cancer, you name it. It's crazy what AI is doing.
I mean, that's crazy to me, and I mean, we're at a point now. I mean, I'll just read a little piece of data here that I think is interesting. There's Harvard Medical School developed an AI model called Chief that is 94% accurate for cancer detection. That's already here now. I mean, would you say, is it negligent to go to a doctor that's not using AI to help diagnose problems?
I don't know if I want to use the word negligent, but I'll tell you what, if you got a doctor who has perfected utilizing AI as a tool, right? I think you're going to get a better outcome on your treatment, because AI is just moving it. And at the end of the day, with AI, it comes down to how you're prompting it. So what a lot of these developers are doing, they're creating all of the proper prompts for our industry. So now it becomes a plug and play for the doctor, right? Where it's not, they have to figure out how to prompt this thing to spit out the correct information. They've developed the software, no different than coding, right? Yeah, when you have these young kids are learning how to code, they're really not coding anymore. They go into like a software that's already been developed with most of the code in the background, and they're just, hitting sequences and stuff. So that's what AI has come to at this point in time, where now they've developed these platforms where you can just take the lab result, upload it, right? Hit the button and it spits everything out without you having to prompt it because they've already figured out the proper prompts on the background.
That seems so necessary to me. And I'm going to give you a quick story. A few months ago, my daughter hurt her foot. We didn't know what was wrong with it. She was just kind of limping around. And we went to the doctor. The doctor said, hey, I don't think it's broken. I don't think it's fractured, but you should go get an x-ray. We went, we got an x-ray. We sat in the waiting room. This was an entire evening took just to get the x-ray. They said it'll be ready within a week. Within a week, they'll have the results from the x-ray. A week later, no results. Called in, we're still waiting for the radiologist or whoever to look at this x-ray. Actually, to this day, we still don't know the results of the x-ray. And this was months ago.
Wow.
How freaking insane is that? Like, shouldn't we be in a world where I walk into like a CVS, I put my foot in a machine, it takes the x-ray and then gives me the results instantly? Is that crazy, or is that like around the corner?
I wouldn't say it's crazy. I think we're at a stage that is the true expectation. And I think we're going to be there sooner than what we think. What it comes down to is when you look at the people that regulate it, right, the medical boards, they still have an expectation to have that human component of the person who has a scientific background to make sure that what the system is spitting out is correct, right? Because sometimes there is room for error. So they want someone to sign off on it that has a scientific background, which is, the MD or DO.
I mean, okay, that's fair. That's fair. But I don't know. I just feel like you gotta get the results to the right person more quickly. It's inexcusable for me that it takes 2 weeks to 3 weeks to never to get results from an x-ray. That just seems crazy to me. And I mean, maybe, part of the problem is that within AI, there's a lot of hallucinations and there's false positives and it's not always accurate. So you want a human to look over it, but still at the same time, I mean, gosh, if it would have come back and say, hey, there's a 99% chance that there's no break, I can go about living my life until I wait for the actual doctor to look at it. It just seems like the process is taking way, way, way too long to get valid results right now.
Yeah, and listen, we live in a world where it's like we want everything now, right? The Amazons of the world have created that. So I will tell you that there are certain imaging devices and companies out there that are utilizing AI at a whole different level, right? There's a company called Prenuvo. right? They do the full body MRI scans. This is for preventative measures where it basically can detect multiple different diseases, multiple different cancers. It looks at all the different organs, and they use AI for all of their scanning. And they're able to actually detect certain diseases and cancers that before just going to a regular MRI, you wouldn't be able to figure that out. So through these AI technologies, they're capable of doing that. Now, there's another one that our chief medical officer, my partner, Dr. Christopher Davis, who's an interventional cardiologist, he utilizes a certain scan. Before he used to send patients to get the CT scan, the cardio angiogram, and now they have the one that has AI mapping. This thing is crazy. I mean, what you can see inside of the actual vessel wall in the blockage, I mean, you can see it down to the blockage of 2%. Before it used to be like you would have to have blockage of 70% or higher to even have some kind of result where you get treatment. Now we could actually see a very small percent of blockage where we can start working on it early, right? Where then eventually it doesn't become an issue where you have a heart attack or stroke.
Yeah, prevention is the name of the game, right?
100%.
So the oldest person on Earth right now is 117.
Well, I don't know. The government was talking about there's people that are like 300 years old. I was seeing it on the news, right?
Well, outside of people collecting Social Security checks, the oldest person in the world is 117. I don't know about these 300-year-olds walking around. Who knows? They're collecting checks.
They're collecting a check, right?
They're collecting the checks, baby. But if we take, I'm just kind of curious, like in 100 years, how old are the oldest people going to be? Are we going to be 150, 180? What are your predictions on how old the oldest human's going to be?
Man, people are talking about they're going to be able to live past 200. Have you ever watched that show, The Blue Zone?
I have not watched it, but I'm familiar with it.
So blue zones are people that are living, those centurions, right, that are living over 100. And they have a mass population of people, and they're studying how these people live, the environment, and everything else. So people, in these blue zones are living past 100. That's what it's all about, the live to 100. So it's something that I think as they start creating these environments, these blue zones, people are going to have that longevity that we keep on talking about. But the one thing that we have to remember, it's not only about longevity. In my opinion, health span is more important than longevity. Because do you really want to live till you're 200, but you're a vegetable or you can't walk or anything like that? So health span is a heck of a lot more important than lifespan, in my opinion. You want to have a good quality of life, you want to have vigor, and you want to have vitality.
Yeah, I agree with that. And in the last episode, I was speaking with the CEO of a major wearables company. I brought up this particular product named Shailin, but I want to show you this product, which I think is really crazy. And y'all, if you are not on YouTube, that is definitely where you want to be watching this show because I'm a visual guy and I like to show visual stuff here. But I want to show you this product, which I just think is so fascinating, this Suit X. And what this is it's a suit that you could wear if you're in a warehouse. It's almost like a mech suit that you wear. And one of the problems that happens as you get older is your body breaks down. Your joints, your muscles, everything gets weaker. But you could be 80 and wearing one of these and still doing slam dunks on the basketball court, right?
And that's pretty cool. I've never seen that before.
Isn't this freaking nuts, dude? Like,
so what does it do exactly?
It's like an exoskeleton suit that supports vulnerable places. So, you're not going to hurt your back when you're lifting heavy objects with this. Here's an option, the IX Shoulder Air. And so it's adding more strength to your shoulder press. Like when I go to the gym and I'm like pushing up 40 pounds on each shoulder, I could be doing 120 with these things.
Okay, so it's kind of assisting the movement. That's pretty cool. Man, they need to get that for, I'm a retired fireman. So, I actually hurt my back on duty, and I've been dealing with sciatica for the longest. And yet, listen, I'm the wellness guy, so I have access to everything. So just imagine me dealing with back pain and not being able to correct it. That there is fantastic for first responders. I mean, you know how many people, their backs that you're going to save with that? That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely going to change. It's going to change every industry. I mean, I would predict that like we're 10 years away from robotic sports where you've got people, androids, they've got a robot leg, a robot hand that are competing in athletics. I mean, that doesn't seem that far-fetched to me. That's a little bit more in the entertainment side of things, but that seems like it's right around the corner.
Yeah.
That's right around the corner. I have a side note. You mentioned that you were a firefighter. Why is it that every firefighter I know has an IV bag in their truck?
You want the politically correct answer, or you want the answer?
I want the answer. We come here for the truth, baby. Why?
Hey. Well, listen, man, you got to be prepared, man. Sometimes during those long weekends and, you're out hanging out with some friends and stuff, those IV bags, they can bring you back to life very quickly. So especially if you have some of those cocktails. So those IV bags, they can bring you or your family member back to life. So we've been doing that for years. We've been doing that for years. Now that's different than the IVs we do at Liquavita. Liquavita, we're doing it for wellness purposes with the different nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids based off your deficiencies. But hydration is important, especially living here in Florida. You see it. Everyone's always dehydrated. It doesn't matter what time of the year it is. Summer is even worse, but hydration is key.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I have another just crazy question because, hey, listen, I got a health and wellness expert on here. I'm going to ask some health and wellness questions. Brian Johnson, you heard this guy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Quote unquote, he's 47. He's the quote unquote most measured man in the world. His theme is don't die, live forever, right?
Right.
He has a claim that if you are not having robust boners, you're 70% more likely to die prematurely. True or false?
I can believe that.
Why?
Yeah.
What do my boners have to do with living to be 100 years old?
So erectile dysfunction has a huge relation to cardiovascular disease, right? So remember, when you get a boner, that's blood flow. When you have erectile dysfunction, people typically are familiar with Cialis, Viagra. And what do? Those work on the cardiovascular system to increase blood flow to the penile tissue so you can get the erection. So why are you having the erection to begin with? Typically, there's calcium plaque buildup in those vessels, not allowing the proper blood flow to go in there. So it is a good indication. There's a test that's called an endothelial test to see exactly, the vessel walls, how strong they are, how's the blood pumping, et cetera. So if you have erectile dysfunction, that's a good indication that you have many other cardiovascular issues in your body, and it has to be addressed. Most people that have severe erectile dysfunction that have to utilize where Cialis and Viagra doesn't even work for them, they have to actually utilize Trimix, where they actually inject their penis before having sexual intercourse. These people have diabetes, all kinds of, diseases that they have. So Brian Johnson is actually 100% correct about that. That becomes a metabolic health issue that people have to address. It's a cardiovascular issue as well, too, that they have to address. They have to get scanned and go through all of these different diagnostics to make sure that we're correcting the correct issue. Because listen, being a firefighter, I'll tell you, there was many, many times that I'd get that 911 call where people are popping the blue pill, right? Mm-hmm. And they die having sexual intercourse. So if you're popping that blue pill, go get checked out.
Wow. That's not the best way to die. You don't want them calling your mom and say, "Hey, mom, your son was
I think it's a double-edged sword, though. It's like, I died, having some fun, right?
Yeah, like in the P. Diddy house, they were throwing him out like hotcakes, a little baby oil, a little blue pill, and that's a good night. But hey, maybe you just need to take care of your cardiovascular health, right?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe start there. Okay, another insane claim to me is he says that Brian Johnson claims that he runs 3 degrees cooler than the average human. His average body temperature, 95.5 degrees versus 98 degrees. What the hell is he talking about?
3 degrees cooler? I mean, that's very hypothermic. I don't know. I'd like to see the data on that one. I don't know. That one, I'd have to actually see the data to believe it. Because listen, when you drop just a few points, decimal points, has a huge impact in your body, right? If you go 3 degrees hotter than what your regular temperature needs to be, which is 98.6 degrees, you'll start having seizures, right? Your body will start burning up. So saying that he's 3 degrees less, that sounds a little bit crazy.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah, that he's made a lot of insane claims. That one is pretty wild to me. How close do you think we are to lab grown organs?
They're already doing it, man. They already grow certain, valves for the heart and stuff. So it's happening. They utilize stem cells and, certain genetics and whatnot. So how close are we where it's compatible? That's a different question, right? I think there's going to be a lot of testing, and obviously the testing is not going to be necessarily on humans first. It's going to be on animal testing to see if it even works. And then at that point, when they have good, significant, quantifiable data on that, I think that's where they would actually move the trials into human trials.
And so I guess the point here is, let's say you have a bad kidney and you need a kidney replacement. Well, let's get the lab grown kidney put in there. The problem, though, is that the body rejects that lab-grown kidney. Am I hearing you
Right.
correctly?
Yeah. Well, listen, your body can reject an actual human transplant, right, from another human. It happened actually to my sister. My sister has renal failure, and she got renal failure at age 22, and she was going through dialysis for many years, a lot of complications going through that process. And as young as she was on the top part of the list. And they called her, and she got two kidneys from a kid that got into a severe car accident. So she was blessed to get those two kidneys within just a couple years. The kidneys, her body ended up rejecting the kidneys. So she had to go back onto dialysis. Fortunately, she was able to get another kidney transplant, and she's been good for like the past 10 years.
Wow, what a blessing. I've had friends that have had issues with kidneys too. And really, I mean, I can't imagine how difficult or how challenging it is to ask people, hey, I need a kidney donation. I mean, just so the idea of having those lab grown seems to make sense to me. I still like to eat steak, so I don't want a lab grown steak, but a lab grown kidney, I'd be on board with that. That sounds.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's better to go lab grown than black market, right? So.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. This is insane to me too. Back on the Brian Johnson thing, because this guy is just blowing my mind right now. He has what he calls the Blueprint protocol, and this is his daily protocol. And I kind of just want to browse through this, and you tell me like what looks just completely crazy to me. So he's got all his biomarkers here, signs of aging, but what really strikes me is his current daily routine. So where is that here? Okay. So his daily routine, these are the supplements he's taking daily. Upon waking, and I can't read them all out here, he's taking his quote unquote Blueprint longevity mix, collagen peptides, GOS, insulin, acarbose, Blueprint essentials, Blueprint soft gel, Blueprint NAC. Like, what is he doing here? Like, honestly, I don't take any supplements. Am I crazy for not taking supplements, or is he crazy for taking all these supplements? I mean, this is even before lunchtime.
So really what it comes down to, man, it has to be data driven, right? So you shouldn't be supplementing to just supplement. You should be supplementing based off of your deficiencies when you do blood work, right? So when you do your blood work and you do a micronutrients deficiency test, you can see what you're deficient in. I mean, your body needs these different vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids for it to function. It's part of your body's biochemistry, right? That's how it works. Your heart pumps, the electrical activity in your heart pumps based off of certain electrolytes. So if you have a deficiency in certain electrolytes, you might end up having a cardiac dysrhythmia that can lead to a heart attack and potentially cardiac arrest. So supplementation is key, but you need to know what to supplement based off of micronutrients tests and also epigenetic testing, which is based off your genetics.
Okay. And that makes sense to me. And I'm assuming, and I don't want to like hard sell, this is one of the things that you're doing at Liquavida is doing tests, taking data, finding deficiencies, and then making recommendations on the different places where we can improve.
Yeah, our focus is to get a good bird's eye view on your health. We call that looking under the hood, right? To actually get that bird's eye view and understand what you're deficient in and how do we supplement it through different things. It's all lifestyle, right? So part of it is nutrition, exercise, supplementation of certain nutrients that you can't get through the dense nutrients foods that we have. So, but it's all through testing, and everyone is different. So it's personalized to the individual. So when you talk about, oh, you got to take this Blueprint product, it might be a fantastic product. It might be third-party tested, and they have a scientific advisory board. But at the end of the day, is it personalized to the individual? Does that person truly need everything that's in that product? At Liquavida, we could tell you exactly what you need for yourself, for your body.
Yeah, specific. I like that. And obviously using AI and various new technologies to get that done. Y'all, you can go to liquavita.com and find one of the locations near you. Sam, I have one more question for you before I let you go here. If there was one thing that you would recommend someone changing on average, one thing that we could do to live longer and healthier, what would that one thing be?
Get good sleep. Sleep is where you recover, man. That's where you charge your energy cells, your mitochondrial cells that produce ATP. My recommendation for everybody, and I don't want people to go too crazy like the Brian Johnson, right? It is 0.0000001% of people that are willing to basically be a science project for themselves, because that's what he's doing, right? And more to him, because we might figure things out health and wellness wise because he's doing all of this stuff. But you know, you need more than just one person to see if it really works, right? There's a lot of external factors that make a difference. So my recommendation for the people that are listening is your own personal health data. Keep track of it. There's a lot of tools out there for you to be able to do that. Not expensive. You know, I wear an Oura Ring. You know, we were just talking about sleep. So my Oura Ring gives me the ability to look at my sleep data, good quantifiable data, where what's my deep sleep, what's my HRV, you know, what is my REM sleep for the night. And then it even gives me a readiness score in the morning where it tells me, hey, your body is X amount ready, right? It's a point level from 0 to 100. And I'll tell you, hey, you're at like 90% readiness score. So you're going to be performing good today. But it gives you, it's a healthy challenge where it gives you the ability to work on those things in these different wearables, regardless if it's the Oura Ring, the Whoop, or an Apple Watch, you know, it'll actually give you certain recommendations for what you should, you know, work on. You know, it'll actually tell you, hey, sleep time is coming up. You should start preparing yourself to go to sleep. What does preparing yourself to go to sleep look like? Make sure you eat a couple hours before going to sleep. Because if you eat right before going to sleep, your body's too focused on digesting that food. So your heart rate's going to be up. It's going to be longer for you to go into the deep sleep. So these are the things that you want to work on. And I think sleep is at the top of the scale when it comes to it.
What about working out right before you go to bed? Sometimes I'll hit the Peloton before bed because I just went too hard on the ice cream.
Not a good idea. Heart rate's going to be too elevated right before going to sleep. It's better to get that Peloton workout first thing in the morning. It spikes up your metabolism. You're burning more calories throughout the day, right? You're getting that blood flowing. So not recommended to do it right before you go to sleep. You know, at least a few hours, that's a little bit different.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, listen, y'all definitely connect with Sam. His website is dope. His Instagram profile is dope. And his podcast is where he's really getting into this health stuff. Because let's face it, man, if you're not taking care of this, as I point to my godlike body here, if you're not taking care of this, it ain't going to take care of you and you ain't going to make any money. Your money is going to suffer big time.
That's the truth, man. Health is wealth.
Health is wealth, baby. Sam, thanks for joining the show.
Pleasure, man. It was great. Thanks, man.